I gotta say, this is awful that Diddy owes his life to Mark Agnifilo, literally his life, because he could have gotten life in prison were it not for Mark Agnifilo.
You can always tell when someone who thought they were untouchable suddenly tastes fear for the first time. It hits different. It changes the way they move, the way they talk.
His defense lawyer, who had a brilliant strategy, and Diddy screwed him over when he hired this videographer to chronicle his life without telling Mark Agnifilo that when Diddy and Mark were on the phone, this videographer was recording what Mark clearly expected to be an attorney-client privileged relationship. Now, it is true that the client holds that privilege, the lawyer doesn't, but Mark's clear expectation was that this was a private conversation. These were private conversations, and that he and Diddy could talk openly, and Mark could talk to Diddy not just as a client, but as a person, and tried to guide him in a time leading up to his arrest. And unbeknownst to Mark Agnifilo, Diddy has got this guy recording the conversation as he's sitting there saying, "You are screwing this up. You are messing up this case. We're losing." And knowing that that's on tape, and it's almost like he's performing for the camera and not telling Mark what's going on. And the really enraging part about it is that Mark Agnifilo won this case for Diddy with legal strategy. It wasn't just an accident that this jury that had heard all of this in the news before the trial voted not guilty on all the serious charges. It was Mark Agnifilo that did that. Yet Diddy secretly records this guy and embarrasses him. And yeah, you could say, well, Diddy never expected that it would end up being broadcast somewhere else. Well, okay, but Diddy was planning on using it, or he wouldn't have had it recorded in the first place. So it's just really, really unfair. And I know that in a way this sounds crazy, that I'm getting so upset about Diddy, and yet there's video of Diddy beating Cassie. Well, that's horrendous, but that doesn't mean you can't look at something else as well. And I just think, as a lawyer, I just think this is just so outrageous that he would do something like this, and not even understanding what Agnifilo's legal theory was. Because I will tell you that when we did our first documentary on Diddy, which was 8 months before the trial, Mark Agnifilo said to me on camera that he is going to tell this jury that this was a successful black man that prosecutors were trying to take down because they couldn't get into his bank accounts because they were clean, and he couldn't deal with they couldn't deal with taxes because he wasn't committing tax fraud. So they go into his bedroom. And that's what Mark Agnifilo said 8 months before. And he goes into the trial and he essentially wins that argument. Whether you believe it or not, a jury that sat through the whole thing, they believed it, and ultimately they convicted him on this BS Mann Act thing. So Diddy won that case. And one of the reasons he won the case is something that Agnifilo got criticized for. That when he did the documentary with me, he was making a joke about the baby oil. Remember, he said, "Oh, well, you know, I didn't know he bought in bulk. He must have bought 1,000 bottles at Costco." And a lot of people just slammed him for that and said, how...
The moment Diddy's lawyer reportedly walked away, everything changed. In the world of high-stakes power and legal warfare, lawyers don't quit without reason. They defend the indefensible, manage chaos, and protect reputations worth millions. So, when a lawyer allegedly drops a client like Diddy and signals that the cases have gone too far, panic is no longer speculation. It becomes a logical reaction. Diddy has spent decades building an image of control, dominance, and untouchable influence. But influence has limits. especially when legal pressure begins to outweigh strategy. According to reports circulating online, the lawyer's decision was not about money or media noise. It was about risk. And when legal risk crosses a certain line, even the most experienced defense steps back. That single move sent shockwaves across the industry. Silence followed. Allies grew distant, and questions that were once ignored suddenly demanded answers. When your own lawyer walks away, it tells the world something serious is unfolding behind closed doors, something that may not be easy to explain, contain, or deny. This isn't about rumors anymore. It's about patterns, pressure, and perception. Lawyers analyze evidence, timelines, and exposure. If reports are accurate, the message was clear. The darkness surrounding these cases was growing, not fading, and that kind of warning doesn't come lightly. For someone like Diddy, whose career was built on controlling narratives, this moment represents a loss of leverage. Panic doesn't mean public breakdown. It means quiet recalculation, legal reshuffling, and preparing for impact. Whether this becomes a defining downfall or a hard-fought battle remains unknown, but one truth stands firm. When a lawyer walks away and calls a case to dark, the story has already entered dangerous territory, and the spotlight is only getting brighter. The news.
Risky for them to put Christina Quorum on the stand, I think.
There was so much being said about your client in that trial, obviously in the media, facing a number of different lawsuits. We also wondered whether or not he, and it's his decision alone, whether he wanted to take the stand and give his story, tell his story, give his version of events. Obviously, there are a ton of risks that come with putting a defendant on the stand, but it would be his choice. Was there a conversation about that?
Well, I mean, I can't get into, attorney-client privilege conversations. Obviously he thought about it, decided not to. And, as I indicated earlier, we thought the case had gone in really well for us. And so we liked where we were. So that was basically the decision.
Now, the big news, some of the big news, a lot of big news came out after the trial, was the firing of Maureen Comey, the lead prosecutor in this case. Now, there's obviously a political angle to it. There are comments that she has made. But I have to ask, you going head to head against her for so many weeks, months and before that, the firing of her, what did you make of that?
I think it was unfortunate. She's a very well-respected prosecutor. We had good sort of professional relationships with her during the course of the trial. And, I don't really think it had anything to do with the trial, but I can't really say anything beyond that. It just,
sure.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair enough. Let's talk about something we can get into quite a bit. Let's talk bail. Okay, so we did a previous sidebar breaking down the defense's renewed motion for release, several arguments for why Sean Combs should be released on bail pending sentencing, acquitted of the most serious charges. There's no comparable case of someone who is convicted of the Mann Act alone and not engaging in sex trafficking or a prostitution for financial gain, and they would be locked up like this. Talked about the issues plaguing the MDC, how it is dangerous, how he's not a risk of flight, not a danger to the community. But do you think Judge Arun Subramanian is going to be persuaded by your letter, by your motion, because obviously he specifically highlighted after the verdict your client's violence, how the defense asserted at trial that Combs was violent. Do you think he's going to have a change of opinion now based upon the legal papers?
Well, I think we certainly hope so. And, as we pointed out in the papers, the unfortunate violence that occurred was mostly a really long time ago, other than the one incident in June that Jane testified to, which was kind of unusual. They had been together for 3 years. There had been no violence, and she essentially started the fight. I'm not excusing anything, but it was kind of a one-off, and I think the government really hadn't put in any evidence of any recent violence. The Intercontinental video, remember, that was almost 10 years ago. He broke up with Cassie in 2018. And in our reply papers yesterday, we submitted a letter from Gina Hyun, who was one of the alleged victims, a different ex-girlfriend, And I think it was a pretty powerful letter about how Sean has changed, how she's not concerned about violence. She thinks he should be released on bail. So we're hoping that that will persuade the judge, given everything else, particularly, as you noted, like the really, really unusual nature of this particular Mann Act conviction and the fact that he's already been in prison, or jail rather, for like 11 months.
The news broke quietly at first, whispered in legal circles, and then spread like wildfire across social media. Diddy's lawyer had reportedly dropped him. The explanation given was chilling. The cases surrounding the music mogul had gone too far. For someone like Diddy, who has spent decades mastering control, influence, and public perception, the world suddenly felt smaller, darker, and far more unpredictable. Diddy, known for his business acumen and larger-than-life persona, had weathered countless controversies throughout his career. From record label disputes to media feuds, he had always managed to emerge relatively unscathed. But this situation was different. According to insiders, it wasn't a simple dispute or minor allegation. It was a complex web of legal challenges, accusations, and dark stories that allegedly touched corners of the industry few dared to approach. The lawyer in question was a top-tier figure in entertainment law, someone who had defended high-profile clients and navigated the murkiest of scandals. Their reputation was impeccable, and yet, when they allegedly stepped back from representing Diddy, the message was clear. Even they could not handle the trajectory these cases were taking. For Diddy, the shock of losing legal counsel went beyond professional inconvenience. In a world where perception often equals reality, the departure of a lawyer is seen as a public acknowledgement that trouble is serious. Panic, insiders claim, set in immediately. Calls were made, meetings were convened, and strategies were hastily reconsidered. But the deeper issue was not just about defending himself. It was about regaining control over a narrative that seemed to be slipping through his fingers. Social media reacted quickly. Fans and critics alike speculated on the reasons behind the lawyer's decision. Was it financial, personal, or, as reports suggested, something far darker? The phrase "cases have gone too far" became the subject of intense debate. For many, it implied that the legal challenges were not only severe, but potentially unprecedented in scope. Rumors began swirling about old incidents, previous disputes, and unresolved conflicts that might now resurface under legal scrutiny. As the story developed, those close to Diddy reportedly began to reconsider their positions. Allies who had once publicly supported him were now cautious, their statements measured. Meetings that would normally be private were reportedly held in strict confidentiality, signaling a high level of concern. Sources claim that even longtime associates sensed that the atmosphere surrounding Diddy was changing. And quickly, the departure of the lawyer also raised questions about strategy. Legal teams do more than defend. They plan, negotiate, and manage risk. Losing that guidance at a critical time allegedly forced Diddy to make difficult decisions. Every public appearance, every statement, and every social media post was suddenly under scrutiny. The weight of public perception was heavier than ever, and the mogul who had built his empire on controlling narratives now faced a situation where control might no longer be possible. Reports suggested that panic was not immediate chaos, but calculated caution. Diddy reportedly began reassessing which cases to fight and which to settle quietly. Meetings were held with backup legal teams, consultants, and advisors to understand the implications of the lawyer's departure. Every detail mattered. Every past decision was being revisited. The phrase "too dark" was reportedly echoed in multiple discussions, highlighting the gravity of what lay ahead. This alleged legal turmoil, while not yet visible in courtrooms or official filings, was already shaping public perception. Media outlets picked up on the story immediately. Headlines screamed about panic, uncertainty, and the unraveling of a previously untouchable figure. The contrast between Diddy's public persona, confident, in control, larger than life, and the private challenges he allegedly faced became a topic of fascination. It's important to note that details remain unverified. Court documents have not confirmed the nature of the cases, and legal experts caution against assuming guilt or wrongdoing. However, the The pattern is clear. When even a top-tier lawyer feels compelled to step away, it signals extraordinary risk. In the high-stakes world of entertainment law, such moves are rare and usually reserved for situations where the potential fallout could be catastrophic. Industry insiders reportedly warned that the next steps were critical for someone of Diddy's stature. The choices made in the immediate aftermath of a lawyer's departure could define not only the outcome of the cases, but also the longevity of his reputation. Public missteps could exacerbate scrutiny, while strategic decisions could potentially mitigate damage. According to reports, the mogul's team was scrambling to stabilize the situation and identify a path forward. Meanwhile, rumors and speculation only fueled the fire. Online discussions dissected every appearance, every tweet, and every statement from Diddy or his associates. Analysts debated what too dark could mean: financial irregularities, unresolved legal disputes, or past incidents now coming back into focus. While nothing is confirmed, the mere suggestion of depth and complexity in the cases created a storm of public curiosity and concern. For Diddy, the stakes are more than just legal. They are deeply personal. Reputation, legacy, and influence, elements that once seemed untouchable, are now reportedly under pressure. Sources claim that the mogul's usual confidence has been replaced with a cautious awareness that missteps could have significant consequences. Every decision, every public interaction, is now calculated with unprecedented attention. The departure of Diddy's lawyer has changed the landscape. What was once manageable is now fraught with complexity. What was once under control, now a delicate balance of risk, strategy, and public perception. And in this environment, even someone with decades of experience navigating power and controversy must confront the limits of influence. While it is too early to predict the final outcome, the tension and stakes are undeniable. Diddy, a figure long considered untouchable, now reportedly faces legal challenges that even his top-tier lawyer could not manage. The phrase "too dark" looms large, and every move from here will determine not only the trajectory of the cases, but also the future of a legacy built over decades. The shockwaves from Diddy's lawyer walking away were still reverberating when more details began to surface, or at least, more speculation. The phrase "too dark" reportedly haunted private conversations, creating an atmosphere of tension that insiders described as unprecedented. For someone who had spent decades in the public eye, commanding influence and shaping narratives, this was a stark reminder that power alone cannot insulate against mounting scrutiny. According to sources close to the situation, the cases surrounding Diddy allegedly involve layers of complexity few outsiders can comprehend. Legal experts familiar with entertainment law say that when a lawyer steps back citing darkness, it often indicates that multiple issues, financial, contractual, and personal, are colliding in ways that make defense increasingly difficult. In Diddy's case, reports suggest that this could include old disputes resurfacing, potential contractual irregularities, and conflicts that, until now, were carefully contained behind closed doors. The departure of his lawyer reportedly triggered a domino effect among his inner circle. Advisors and associates who had once worked confidently under Diddy's direction suddenly found them Sylvester Calibrant. Every decision, every public interaction, every move in the social media sphere was now scrutinized for potential risk. Sources claim that meetings among his team became more frequent and tense, with discussions often focused on damage control rather than forward strategy. Social media added another layer of pressure. Within hours, threads speculating about the meaning of "too dark" began trending. Analysts and fans dissected every piece of footage, every past interview, and every public statement. Rumors ranged from financial mismanagement to legal exposure stemming from old industry conflicts. While none of these claims have been officially verified, the pattern of discussion made it clear. The perception of trouble alone can create panic as intense as any confirmed legal action. Insiders allege that Diddy himself became acutely aware of the implications. For a man whose career has thrived on controlling the narrative, Realizing that even a top-tier legal professional felt compelled to step away reportedly forced him into an unprecedented state of caution. Every move was reportedly analyzed for its potential consequences. Advisors reportedly began mapping out scenarios to anticipate how the public, media, and industry peers might react in the coming days. The lawyer's departure reportedly left Diddy facing a delicate balancing act. On one hand, there was a need to project strength, confidence, and composure, maintaining the persona that had allowed him to navigate scandals and controversies for decades. On the other hand, the reality of his legal exposure demanded a measured and cautious approach. Sources indicate that Diddy's team reportedly began preparing contingency plans, examining possible settlements, and exploring every legal avenue to stabilize the situation. Reports also suggest that the cases labeled as too dark involve reputational risks that extend far beyond standard legal battles. Even in industries accustomed to high-stakes drama, insiders reportedly described the situation as unusual, citing a combination of public scrutiny, private disputes, and ongoing media attention. Legal professionals familiar with the entertainment world explained that the intersection of these factors can amplify pressure exponentially, and when that pressure reaches a certain point, even someone as experienced as Diddy may find himself navigating uncharted territory. The ripple effects were visible almost immediately. Longtime collaborators and associates reportedly began distancing themselves, cautious not to become entangled in what could be a prolonged and damaging legal saga. Public appearances, once confidently executed, reportedly became highly calculated, with advisors closely monitoring tone, messaging, and audience reaction. Social media, meanwhile, amplified every small detail, feeding speculation and heightening the sense of urgency surrounding Diddy's next steps. Experts in entertainment law emphasize that when legal representation is withdrawn, the implications extend far beyond courtroom strategy. A lawyer serves as both shield and navigator, guiding decisions, advising on risk, and often controlling access to sensitive information. Losing that guidance reportedly left Diddy in a position where even minor missteps could have major consequences, both legally and reputation alike. At the same time, insiders reportedly described the mogul as determined to regain control. Sources claim that new legal teams were being consulted, backup strategies developed, and communications carefully managed. Every decision reportedly reflected a heightened awareness of how public perception and legal realities intersect, with Diddy's team working tirelessly to prevent the situation from spiraling further. Meanwhile, the phrase "too dark" continued to fuel curiosity and speculation. Analysts suggested that it may refer not just to legal complexity, but to risks associated with personal exposure or previously undisclosed incidents. In the entertainment industry, such descriptions often indicate that multiple factors converge, creating scenarios that require extraordinary caution. And according to sources, this is precisely the environment Diddy found himself navigating, a combination of legal, financial, and reputational risk that few in the industry have ever encountered simultaneously. The intense focus on Diddy's actions reportedly created its own form of pressure. Every appearance, every statement, every interaction became a potential headline. The mogul, who had thrived on projecting control and influence, reportedly faced the reality that external perception could no longer be fully managed. Insiders note that in situations like this, panic does not manifest as chaos, but rather as meticulous caution and acute awareness that even small miscalculations can have amplified consequences. Sources indicate that Diddy reportedly began restructuring his approach to public engagement. Social media activity was reportedly carefully monitored. Interviews were reportedly scrutinized for language that might inadvertently escalate speculation. Internal meetings reportedly focused on scenario planning, identifying potential outcomes, and creating strategies to address them before they could reach the public sphere. Observers point out that this type of pressure can affect decision-making at all levels. Associates reportedly felt the weight of uncertainty. Legal teams reportedly worked overtime to evaluate potential exposure, and Diddy reportedly remained vigilant in managing every aspect of the unfolding situation. According to insiders, even minor actions were reportedly considered in the context of broader legal and reputational implications. The story, while still unfolding, illustrates a key truth about power, fame, and influence. Even the most iconic figures are not immune to the consequences of complex legal challenges. Diddy, whose career has spanned decades and whose name carries enormous weight, reportedly finds himself confronting a situation where expertise, guidance, and strategy are crucial, and where the absence of a trusted lawyer has reportedly created new layers of pressure and urgency. As speculation continues, the entertainment world watches closely. Fans, critics, and industry professionals are reportedly analyzing every development, aware that the events surrounding Diddy may set new precedents in how high-profile legal and reputational crises are perceived and managed. According to sources, the coming weeks could be decisive, shaping not only the outcome of the cases, but also the public understanding of how power and accountability intersect. The departure of Diddy's lawyer and the description of the cases as too dark reportedly mark a turning point. What was once manageable is now fraught with complexity, and the mogul's next steps will determine whether he can regain control or whether the situation escalates beyond containment. Observers note that in high-profile cases, timing, strategy, and public perception critical as legal arguments themselves. For now, the narrative continues to evolve. Diddy reportedly remains focused on navigating the storm, consulting new legal teams, and addressing potential fallout with calculated care. Insiders suggest that the mogul understands the gravity of the moment, that even influence and reputation, cultivated over decades, are vulnerable when the right combination of legal, financial, and reputational challenges converge. In the end, the world watches as Diddy faces one of the most critical tests of his career. With a lawyer who reportedly once stood by him now gone, the questions remain: how will he respond? How deep is the darkness described by insiders? And can even one of the most powerful figures in entertainment emerge unscathed from a situation that, by all reports, has grown dangerously complex? The tension surrounding Diddy reportedly reached a critical peak as the legal and reputational pressures converged. The departure of his lawyer, described by insiders as a response to cases that had gone too dark, left the mogul facing a reality few could have anticipated. Even in an industry accustomed to high-stakes drama, sources claim that the situation was extraordinary: a collision of unresolved disputes, potential exposure, and mounting public scrutiny. Reports suggest that Diddy's usual confidence has been replaced with calculated caution. Meetings with new legal advisors reportedly intensified, focusing on risk assessment, contingency planning, and messaging strategies designed to stabilize the narrative. Every action, insiders say, was scrutinized for potential fallout. Every word, every public appearance, every post on social media carried weight far beyond what it once did. Rumors of the dark cases surrounding him reportedly fueled media speculation and public fascination. While details remain unverified, the phrase "too dark" alone ignited intense debate. Analysts and fans dissected past events, old interviews, and resurfaced allegations, searching for clues to the alleged legal storm. Sources indicate that even longtime allies grew cautious, aware that association with Diddy could carry unforeseen consequences if the situation escalated. Despite the pressure, insiders claim that Diddy remained determined to navigate the crisis strategically. According to reports, he consulted new legal teams, explored every available avenue to protect his interests, and worked to control how the story unfolded publicly. But the challenge was clear: influence, wealth, and reputation can delay scrutiny, but they cannot erase the reality of complex, high-stakes legal challenges. The alleged darkness of the cases reportedly extends beyond standard disputes, combining legal, financial, and personal elements that create an environment of extreme risk. Observers note that such scenarios demand meticulous planning, quick decision-making, and an awareness that public perception can be as impactful as any courtroom outcome. For Diddy, The stakes were reportedly higher than ever, with the potential to affect his legacy, career, and long-cultivated image. As the situation reportedly developed, the mogul's next moves became critical. Experts suggest that even small missteps could be amplified, while strategic actions might stabilize the trajectory. The world watched closely, analyzing every public appearance, every statement, and every move behind the scenes. According to sources, the coming days could define not only the outcome of the legal challenges, but also the broader narrative surrounding Diddy's career. The story, at its core, reflects a harsh truth. Even figures considered untouchable or vulnerable when legal and reputational storms collide. Diddy's lawyer's departure reportedly signaled a turning point, marking a moment when calculated influence met unprecedented risk. As the mogul navigates the situation, the stakes remain high, and the eyes of the world remain fixed, waiting to see if he can regain control or if the darkness surrounding these cases will continue to grow. The unfolding events serve as a reminder that power, wealth, and fame may provide a shield, but they cannot eliminate consequences when complex forces converge. For Diddy, the challenge is now clear: navigate the unknown, anticipate every risk, and confront a series of dark cases that, according to reports, have pushed even his top-tier legal team to the edge. The Diddy saga is far from over, and Rapscope X is here to bring you every shocking detail. His lawyer reportedly dropped him, claiming the cases have gone to dark, and now the pressure is higher than ever. For a mogul who built an empire on power, influence, and control, this could be a turning point, and the world is watching closely. This isn't just gossip. This is a high-stakes story involving reputation, legal battles, and unseen forces threatening to shake one of the biggest names in entertainment. Reports say even top-tier legal counsel couldn't handle the trajectory of these cases, and that alone is enough to make anyone stop and wonder, how deep does this darkness go? Can Diddy navigate the storm? Or is this the start of something bigger? At Rapscope X, we break it all down for you. Every twist, every move, and every shocking detail. From the lawyer walking away to the implications behind the scenes, we've got you covered. And this is where you come in. Hit that subscribe button, tap the notification bell, and make sure you're the first to know when new updates drop. If this story has you shook, smash that like button and show your support. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We want to hear what you think about Diddy's situation and the lawyer walking away. Your opinion matters, and we feature the best comments in future videos. The spotlight is on Diddy, the tension is real, and Rapscope X is here to guide you through every twist and turn. Don't miss a single moment. Subscribe, like, comment, and stay locked in. This story isn't just news, it's history in the making, and you'll want to witness every shocking second.